Hello and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football. Wow, what a night. England and Italy are through to the Euro 2020 final. Joining me today, I've got Henry Hill and Michael McCubbin. Henry, how are you on this? It feels like a special day.
I can't believe it. I can't believe we're going to see England in a major tournament final. It's actually sort of semi-mind-boggling to me. Like, you saw how passionate Italy were, and they've got to so many finals, if you think about it, over the last sort of 20, 30 years. Even my dad, who's about 4 or 5 when England won the World Cup in '66, for him, this is like an incredible experience. But I can't believe that we're going to see it happen. I'm so excited. Condolences to the Danish team. Amazing sort of flag bearers of football, but I'm absolutely buzzing.
Oh, good man, good man. McCubs, I imagine you're on cloud 9 as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I was so stressed before the game. And oh god. You know what? Like it's bad. I watched that video of like Mason Mount giving his like shirt away. I don't know if you've seen that. And like Gareth Southgate and whatnot. And I was reduced to tears. I've been reduced to tears every morning since the Germany game. Every win we've had, the next morning I've like watched a video from the night before or the fans or whatever, and I've been reduced to tears. It's so emotional. But yeah, what a performance last night. I think that was we'll get onto it in a bit. We'll get onto it a bit. But like, yeah, what a performance from England last night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Likewise with Henry. Fair play to Denmark. They defended superbly for pretty much the whole game, but and obviously have had an amazing tournament as well. But yeah, what a performance.
Yeah, absolute credit to Denmark. We'll get onto that in due course. We'll talk about the penalty controversy. We'll talk about the missed chances. Maybe a little bit of Pickford. That's all to come in our big match preview. But if you're feeling a little bit nostalgic and feeling, extra special and want to treat yourself, we've got the perfect offer for you today, because today's episode is sponsored by manscaped.com. So you can get 20% off and free shipping using the code EuroFootballDaily at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the code EuroFootballDaily. Hit the target, shore up your D this Euros with Manscaped. And I was personally wearing my Manscaped cologne last night.
Lovely.
And I was feeling good, I was smelling good, and the good vibes came. Henry, are you still enjoying your care package?
Yeah, 100%. You know what? I was so nervous about the game yesterday. I shaved my face, washed my hair perfectly. I did everything. Used the whole Manscaped package because I was so kind of. I thought I had to improve myself in any way in order for England to have a good chance.
Did you do any below the belt grooming pre-match?
Yeah, big time. The ball tone is quite. I hadn't even heard of that before, and it's quite fun. So I've been using all that, and yeah, I still. I'm so grateful to Manscaped for sending that over because, I think it's just a really quality product.
Absolutely. I'm going to get 2-1 shaved into my pubes today at some stage. Anyway, let's get started in today's show. We are doing a deep dive into the transfer window, and some clubs will be pretty satisfied with their business so far, but many won't. So I put out a tweet asking for your losers of the window so far, and I've got to say, it is only so far. The transfer window closes in England on August the 31st, I believe. So in about 6-7 weeks' time. So there's still plenty of time for clubs to recover. But there are many talking points. And McCubs, we're going to kick off with Real Madrid at the suggestion of Antonio Suarma02. Because a lot of coverage, not credit at all, has been on Barcelona this week. And we will cover them in due course. But Real Madrid have also had a pretty crazy summer so far.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's one of those summers where Real Madrid, it might end up kind of working in Madrid's favour because the situation at Barcelona's so dire that it's kind of, that I think Real Madrid might be able to ride this, the kind of the storm that they've had and perhaps, probably still be able to challenge for the title next season. Obviously, Atletico Madrid, I think, have been fairly strong so far. Obviously, the Rodrigo de Paul transfer is excellent, but I still think, man for man, those two squads still match up pretty well. But yeah, obviously Zidane leaving, massive blow to the club. The appointment of Ancelotti, I don't think is the worst, but obviously retreading old ground, isn't exactly a forward-thinking appointment, is he? Obviously coming off the back of a fairly kind of unfinished business, let's say, at Everton as well. And Everton really didn't finish the season very well either, did they? They dropped from 5th to 10th, kind of between March and May. So, yeah, it's not like he's kind of coming off the back of a title win or even coming off the back of European qualification or whatever. It was a shame to see him leave Everton because I think he would have made more progress there over the next couple of years. But yeah, so it's not exactly an appointment to get Madrid fans excited. Although I think, in a situation like this, he's probably not the worst appointment. He is a very pragmatic manager. He's good at using the tools at his disposal, and he has a lot more tools at his disposal at Real Madrid certainly than he did at Goodison Park. However, obviously losing Sergio Ramos as well, I think is a big blow as well. I mean, we could talk. Obviously last season they proved that they could win without him. Finally, because he really was such a talismanic figure for so long, and especially in big games. He was so missed, especially in the Champions League, wasn't he, over the last few years, whenever he was suspended or injured. But I think, they've obviously lost a huge leader in the dressing room there. So to lose Zidane and Ramos in one summer, it really does feel like the end of the road for this kind of that great mid 2010s Real Madrid side, and what's left of it. I think Marcelo is probably going to leave this summer as well, isn't he? So it kind of only leaves that midfield, which does remain pretty strong, and Karim Benzema from that era, and Carvajal, of course, but obviously he's been injured a lot over the last couple of seasons too. Rafael Varan looks like he is a big possibility that he could leave. Obviously Man United reportedly front runners. I think they probably are front runners at this point. Supposedly made a €50 million offer for him according to Marca. That transfer looks like it is a very big possibility unless Real Madrid can somehow offer him like much bigger wages. I think they're offering him like 7 million. Man United are offering 12 million, something like that. So again, another big player potentially leaving. Obviously David Alaba's in. I think the thing is, weirdly enough, I don't think their defence will suffer too much. David Alaba's in. Obviously, we know how good a player he is. I think he probably will be, coming in that left centre-back role. And last season, Nacho and Militao, especially, I mean, Nacho was pretty excellent. Militao, obviously, a young defender who was brought in for big money. I think he improved a lot last term. Vallejo, I think, has he been given a new contract as well? I think
he's been given the number 4 shirt as well.
Yeah, so I mean, no one's really been convinced by Vallejo yet, but I think like he will be 4th or 5th in the pecking order. I actually don't worry too much for their defence, but equally there is still a big transition. If they don't have Varane in there as well. I don't know. It's just going to be a weird next season for them. And again, it just doesn't look like they're going to land the attacking, the attacking kind of Galactico siding that they've been kind of threatening to basically since kind of 2018, 2019. Obviously, Hazard was that guy, I guess, in 2019, to be fair. But, Mbappe's always been the one they've wanted to go for. That doesn't look likely this summer. Obviously, Haaland doesn't look like he's going anywhere this summer, and I guess it's just we'll just have to wait and see, who lands him first in 2022. But I think, I guess that's, that's always going to be a sticking point with Real Madrid fans, is that attack doesn't look like at the moment it's going to be upgraded. And Karim Benzema, evergreen, but he can only do that for so long. And we've been saying this for the last kind of year or two, haven't we? It's there will come a point when Karim Benzema can't just carry that attack, because he is just going to be another year older, as amazing as he is. Eden Hazard's, transfer we've spoken about enough now, has been a disaster. The club is in quite a lot of debt, 355 million euros. That includes 126 million that's owed to other sides and transfer fees. Perez has told Ancelotti that they're going to have to sell before they can buy. So yeah, it just feels like it's going to be another summer of relative stagnation in this for this Madrid side. An aging squad, not much going forward. I think we're going to have to see Vinicius and and Rodrigo really step up their game at at an age where they shouldn't really be having to, So yeah, I think it's defensively. I think actually I'm not too worried about Madrid. Managerially, not too worried, but it's just that attack and also that midfield, isn't it? Like for example, a player like Camavinga, we've seen him being most strongly linked with the moves in Man United this week. He was supposed to be he was supposed to be Madrid's man, and he would have been like such a great addition to that midfield. But who knows what will happen in the kind of coming weeks. But at the moment, it doesn't look like they're going to kind of land any of their kind of big targets. So I feel like they'll get away with it next season, just because Barca are in such a mess, and I think Atleti are catchable, as ended up being pretty tight last season. But yeah, not very inspiring.
Yeah, I mean Atleti only won on the final day, but I can hear Henry Hill's squirm when you said Rodrigo and Vinicius really need to step up next year. I mean, Henry, you've had your doubts about them. Do you think like next season could be the season that we see consistent output across an entire year? Because Vinicius is a magnificent dribbler, but you really sort of have issues with his output.
Yeah, I think next year is the defining moment, certainly in Vinicius's Madrid career. I think it's either works out next year, or I think they'll move him on. I think it's like a cutthroat business, certainly with Perez in charge there. But I mean, I'd be intrigued to see if Bale comes back into the fold at all. They've been Perez has been sort of flirting with him in media posts and in media duty, and obviously Ancelotti got the best out of him there. So I'll be interested to see how he works back in the squads. And Hazard, began to show some form for Belgium towards the back end of the tournament. Let's hope, fingers crossed, he can roll that over to Real Madrid, because I'd love to see him sort of go out and prove something there. But like you said, I think next summer is going to be the big one for Madrid. Bale's contract runs up, which essentially means if they do just wait for Mbappe, which it looks likely that's going to happen, I think Mbappe is going to leave PSG, then I think Bale's wages will just essentially transfer over to Mbappe in that regard. So yeah, I think 12 months time is when we're going to see sort of that Galactico project relaunch. But yeah, this summer it's just a little bit bleak at the moment, and I don't think David Alaba as sort of the sole big signing is necessarily going to be enough. But I there's enough in the tank, I think, just to maintain sort of certainly Champions League football and sort of keep on the toes of Atleti, who, let's face it, haven't actually made loads of signings themselves. It's that Rodrigo de Paul they're closing in on, but they're yet to announce any kind of big official transfer.
Yeah, I think Alaba, the weird thing about him, I mean, he's 29 and they give him a 5-year deal. That just seems absolutely massive. And obviously he was a free transfer, so they didn't have to pay anything on the fee. But 400 grand a week for a 5-year deal, that just doesn't seem like intelligent sort of squad building. And with it seems like a very obvious time to say, but it's not a great summer to be broke or like having money issues. Like we saw Chelsea last summer make massive strides because they are, bankrolled by an oligarch. We've seen PSG make massive moves this summer as well. Man United have outlaid a huge amount on Jadon Sancho, although they probably got him for a pretty good price in the end. Like these are the clubs that Real Madrid are going to be probably competing with in the next 2-3 years. Maybe less so Man United, but we'll see on that front. I mean, their squad looks pretty good for a Champions League sort of challenge in the next 2 to 3 years, I would have thought. So, that Real Madrid seem to be losing ground just at the wrong time and, are leaving themselves with a lot of making up to do because they didn't really sign anyone last year of massive note. They're not really going to sign anyone this year of massive note except for David Alaba. So it's a little bit concerning. But anyway, we'll move on past Real Madrid. We'll come on to Barcelona later, although we have talked about them on numerous shows this week already, which is why I didn't want to open the show with them. But Henry, let's go over to Germany and talk Eintracht Frankfurt, because at Koenig 3 pointed out that there has been change in the hot seat, in the boardroom, and they've lost their star. It is chaos there right now.
Well, sort of chaos with all the managerial changes in Germany. Sort of been the biggest switcher I've ever seen. But I mean, it's not all doom and gloom for Eintracht Frankfurt. But we'll run through what's been going on there. So obviously they finished 5th last season, 1 point behind Wolfsburg. That came after losing 3 of their final 6 games. It really looked like they were going to be back in Champions League football for something like 50 years, wasn't it? But they sort of hiccup when as the season came to a close. And as a result of that, their boss, Adi Hütter, he's been snapped up by Borussia Mönchengladbach as Marco Rosa's successor. But interestingly enough, they then went and managed to get Oliver Glasner from Wolfsburg, who I think he's a brilliant manager. He's been there for the last 2 seasons, just got them into the Champions League, but he's now dropped essentially down a level for next season to join on the Eintracht project. I just think Eintracht are genuinely just a very well-run club, and I think it seems to be quite a interesting proposition for managers to go in there. However, they have lost their sporting director, Freddy Bobic, who oversaw the signings of Jovic, Sebastian Haller, Rebic in recent years. He's gone to join Hertha Berlin. I mean, he's given himself a real job there. So, and then also their president has retired as well. So
Henry, I'm just going to interject that. I've heard on the grapevine, you told us before we started filming, that you actually have a link with Freddy Bobic.
Right. I didn't realise you could do this. Yes, well, when I was younger, his daughter used to stay at my house because the Hertha Berlin youth team used to come over to play in a 5-a-side tournament in where I live in England. And we used to host some of the Hertha Berlin junior girls team. And his daughter was one of the players that used to stay at our house, so she is watching. You know, I like to say
it was all PG, Henry. There was never any romance between you and Miss Bobic.
A man doesn't kiss and tell, but no, I can't remember what it was. But it used to be really fun. Actually, I reckon that's probably why Freddy Bobic has gone back there. I think that's his home city. Obviously linked with Hertha Berlin. That's my kind of inside take on the situation. But yes, let's park my junior life to one side and go back to to Eintracht, because obviously they lost Andre Silva as well. That's a massive loss actually. He scored 28 times last year for the club. He's first scored over 20 since Tony Yeboah in 1992-93. I love that stat. Anyway, he's gone to join RB Leipzig, and he's only cost £19 million, which looks like an absolute snip for a 25-year-old. Got 16 in 36 games for Frankfurt during the end of the 2019-20 campaign, and then he signed the following September with Ante Rebic going the other way to AC Milan. I think it was a silly small amount of money that they actually paid for Andre Silva, and he's just been a revelation of a signing, and I'm really happy for him too after such a tricky period at AC Milan where it just didn't seem to work out at all. But, one key pass, 0.8 dribbles per 90, 1.01 expected goals and assists per 90 last season for Frankfurt. That is nuts. Only Lewandowski and Erling Haaland topped his 0.83 expected goals per 90 last term as well. I mean, he was just electric in the box. Really exciting. Didn't see enough of him in the Euros, in my opinion, there. But, good luck to him over at Leipzig. I think it's exciting times to go there. I think under Jesse Marsch, you could see him play some really electric football there. Anyway, to make matters worse, it looks like Filip Kostic, he's been courted by Inter, Lazio and Roma. He contributed 4 goals and 14 assists in the league last season. I absolutely love him, sort of a flying... One of these players, you don't quite know if he's left back or a left winger, sort of just does everything, doesn't he? Bit of like a Robin Gosens model there. But they have kind of got a replacement in Christopher Lons. They got him from Union Berlin. Fabio Blanco has come in from Valencia's under-19s. I'm not going to pretend I know a whole lot about him. However, Rafael Santos Borre from River Plate, they've got him on a free transfer too. He was the kind of one of the most highly rated free transfers out there, free agents. He's a 25-year-old Colombian, netted 21 goals in 40 games for River Plate last season. That's pretty good going. Averaged 2 shots and 1.7 key passes. Atletico Madrid fans might remember they signed him back in 2015. Then he went on loan to Villarreal for the 2016-17 season, where he scored 2 goals in 17 games. So not great pedigree over in Europe. However, he's back to try again. Celtic and Rangers were looking at him. He's sort of been likened to Chicharito. But yeah, Eintracht have gone in for him, and I think I'm really intrigued to see how this would work out. You never quite know if these South American players coming over are going to cut it on European soil, but I think he looks like he's matured as a player, gone back to River Plate and proved himself again. So I'm really excited to see that there. It's a very smart piece of business from Frankfurt, and I'm sure they'll do some more business before the summer is out. I'm not massively worried for them. Obviously, it's a big period of transition, but then again, there's lots of transition going on in the Bundesliga right now. I think a lot of the clubs are having to sort of reshuffle their pack. So yeah, let's see. Let's reassess this in December and see just how it's all working out.
Yeah, I think the big signing that they've made is Oliver Glasner, to be honest. I can't believe he swapped Wolfsburg, who are in the Champions League, and he did so well to get them there. They were third for so much of that season, and then he's gone to Frankfurt, who are in the Europa League. It seems a little strange. Maybe he just thinks he's taken Wolfsburg as far as he can. Maybe they're resigned to losing Wout Weghorst this summer, etc. Maybe just sees it the sort of end of the project. But Santos Borré is quite an interesting player. When I was doing a bit of research ahead of this show, I saw a quote from Diego Simeone saying, he wasn't ready when he came to Atletico Madrid in 2015, but he's a phenomenal player, and he was a phenomenal prospect back then, and he's really come alive in Argentina. So best of luck to him. It's an interesting signing. I wanted to bring another team to the table, well, two teams to the table in the Milan sides who have just had slightly underwhelming windows, I'd say. AC Milan obviously will be delighted that they've got Tomori and Mike Maignan in. I think they are two excellent signings. But given that Tomori was on loan at the back end of last year, and Maignan is a replacement for Donnarumma, who has left, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, as he's proved throughout this Euros, although I did think his distribution was pretty poor against Spain, except for that, starting the counter-attack for Chiesa's goal. But anyway, it feels like they've lost one of the best in the world in Donnarumma. And Maignan, is a great goalkeeper, had a phenomenal year at Lille, but they haven't really improved their squad from the back end of last year, if you get what I mean. They're kind of just where they were. And having spent over 50 million euros already, with Tonali being brought in permanently as well, from what I've read, they need to offload players. And supposedly Jens-Peter Højgaard, Rafael Caldara and Castillejo could all be sold. And it'd be a real shame to lose Rafael. I think he's got, he's a frustrating player to watch at times because he seems to sort of have all the technical and physical attributes and just doesn't quite deliver enough. But I'd be really disappointed to lose Rafael. I think he's got a massive future in the game. And they still need to add an attacking midfielder because obviously they've lost Calhanoglu, who also left on a free without getting any money for him as well as Donnarumma. A striker probably because Mandzukic has left. And a right winger to improve that right side, which all the AC Milan fans were complaining about throughout last year. So they could also do some cover at fullback. So it feels like they're not quite as set as you'd like them to be at this stage of the season. But as I said at the start of the show, there's still plenty of time. And then Inter Milan, well, they lost Antonio Conte, who obviously did such a phenomenal job there. Was difficult to manage at times. Conte disappointed in the Champions League, had his run-ins with the ownership there as well. But in the end, romped the Serie A title, won it by 12 points. And they've obviously just lost Hakimi to PSG in a £54 million deal. He is a phenomenal player. We've been bigging up on this show for about 2 years now. Everyone knows my thoughts on him. I think £54 million is a perfectly good price for him, to be totally honest. And then Darmian and Calhanoglu, who, is pretty much hated on the other side of Milan, at least when he leaves. It's weird what hindsight does to you. Are their only major arrivals so far. So maybe slightly underwhelming summers from the Milan side so far. Obviously, finances are tight, COVID, etc. So we'll see what happens in the next few weeks. I mean, another suggestion to mention McCubs is Lille, because like Inter Milan, they've also lost their manager and a couple of key players.
Yeah, and obviously lost Luis Campos as well. Well, I mean,
yes.
he'd gone before he went in December.
Did he go January or December?
Yeah. So I mean, that's I guess not so relevant to kind of what's been going on the last kind of since the end of the season. But equally, he is the kind of negotiator extraordinaire. His contact book is just ridiculous. He managed to get serious fees in. Although I did see reports of was it the Nicola Pepe? No, was it the Osimhen deal, which was there was some kind of
it was a bit dodgy, wasn't it?
Serious allegations going out around that. I wouldn't want to kind of confirm it because my memory of what actually went on there is a little bit hazy. But nevertheless, Christophe Galtier, who's obviously done an amazing job with them over the last few years, has joined Nice. Samare's gone to Leicester for £18 million. This is a guy who, they were rejecting offers of upwards of 30 million just a couple of years ago. Mike Maignan, obviously, as you mentioned, has gone to AC for less than £12 million. Particularly with Maignan, who was comfortably the best keeper in France last year. They've got it's a big gap to fill there, and they haven't even got that good money in for them. So I feel like it might be. I feel like Lille might have a couple of seasons of kind of transition and potentially dropping off a little bit, which is no kind of tragedy. They obviously they did amazingly to win the title this season. But I feel like there's going to be a bit of a transition going on there.
Yeah, I feel like Liga might be a bit of a procession next term as well, with Lyon losing Memphis Depay. Henry and me were talking about it on Transfer Review yesterday, but Arsenal have apparently lodged a secret bid, which Eurofootball Daily managed to find out about, for Houssam Aouar. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, Henry...
PSG have had a huge summer, haven't they? That's the thing.
Yeah, PSG have just been incredible, in terms of their business at least. Does help when you've got such rich benefactors. Henry, I mean, just to pacify the Real Madrid fans who will be angry that we've mentioned them again. I mean, Barcelona are having a completely chaotic summer. We could have done a whole episode on them, really.
Yeah, well, according to various reports, they need to reduce their wage bill by 200 million euros, isn't it? And unless they do that, they're not going to be able to register all of their new signings. Because actually, remove that, I think they've been very clever with their additions. Memphis Depay, Eric Garcia, Sergio Aguero. I mean, in principle, very good business. However, if they can't register them, then it's going to be a complete disaster. And it looks like everyone's for sale at a certain mark this year. Samuel Umtiti has basically turned around and said, "There's no way you're just going to cancel my contract." I'm pretty confident that Coutinho has said the same, because they're all just on ridiculous wages. And then one of their signings who Eric Abidal brought in, I believe, he's going to try and take them. He's trying to sue Barcelona at the moment because they've just cancelled his contract. He never even made an appearance. I think he cost like £7 million. There was question marks over why they were buying him at the time. Apparently, everyone in Brazil said he wasn't good enough, but they bought him anyway. So yeah, it's just a bit of a. I don't want to use too strong a word on this, friendly channel, but it's not looking good at all for Barcelona. There's serious financial woes there. I think, as you say, whatever we said about Real Madrid, you can times it by 10 for Barcelona, because it is quite concerning for them. And I struggle to see a way out of this hole. If they're going to try and agree this new contract for Lionel Messi too, that's going to be some serious money on the table once more. I just think they're going to have to cut their losses with some players. I'd love to see Coutinho move on. I'd love to see him go to a club for like 10, 15 million, somewhere like AC Milan, somewhere where he can just be that creative force and do his thing. But I just struggle to see how it's all going to materialise right now, because money seems to be crushing this club. And what I've loved about the Euros is there's been no talk of money. It's just been pure football. And I'd love to see Barcelona get back to that, because when they're at their pomp, when they're at their peak, they are an incredible side.
Absolutely, and at points last season they were still great to watch. It's just a shame, because Koeman looked like he was building something, relatively, I don't want to say special just yet, but they were getting back to their best, and they've just been ruined by the problems of that previous regime. But anyway, let's park Barcelona for another time. Guys, who do you think is losing the transfer window? Do you think it's one of the Milan clubs, Real Madrid, Eintracht Frankfurt, or Barcelona or Lille? Let us know in the comments down below, and let's move on to the bloody big match preview. So, of course, everyone knows what we're going to be covering. We've got our England shirts on, despite the fact we all wore them last night. I need my Man City perfume. Yeah. They are a bit stinky. But, yeah, I'm going to change after this, I think. But anyway, it is the big one on Sunday, 8 p.m, I believe. I think it's on BBC and ITV if you're in the UK. 8 p.m, England versus Italy at Wembley in the Euro 2020 final. Can't actually get over those words, to be honest. And we'll get into England in due course. But McCubs, let's start with Italy, who had quite a challenging game against Spain. I actually thought Spain were really impressive.
Spain were excellent, weren't they? They were really playing them off the park for large parts, especially in the second half, and during extra time as well. Sorry, my memory's already hazy of Wednesday as well. It's just been such a weird, mad 2 days. But I thought Spain were excellent. I actually thought, without jumping the gun, I thought, well, if England did beat Denmark, I'd actually prefer Italy in the final. I think just because Spain's whole kind of approach in this tournament, even if Luis Enrique likes them to play a bit more vertically than say they have in the past, they've generally reverted to norm and just kept possession, recycled possession in a way that does wear teams down. And obviously this England team is very technically adept, and so is this Italy team. This Italy team has got one of the best midfields in the world. They couldn't even deal with that. You have like players like Jorginho and Verratti and Barella, and there were points where they were being played off the park. I thought generally that the midfield battle was amazing. It was so aggressive, especially in the first half. Kind of Busquets and Barella just kind of running into each other. It was great to watch, but yeah, Spain caused them a lot of problems in a way that I don't think they had been, at least in a technical sense. I think Austria caused them a lot of physical problems, and really caused them a bit of a scare in that last 16. But aside from that, yeah, they've been very solid, and they defended very admirably against Spain when their backs were up against the wall. Chiellini and Bonucci really showing their experience. Chiellini in particular showing nerves of steel in the build up to that penalty shootout.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
Because I still haven't really got to grips with what happened. Did he make Alba choose what he didn't want to do, or choose the wrong end?
I don't think necessarily. I think he was just.
He kept on bear hugging him.
Yeah, I think just the whole process he was just getting very excited by, but also, I think he, obviously he's very experienced, and I think he's got kind of, I think there probably was potentially a bit of mind games in there.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it was.
He
it
looks
was
like
just
if
very
me
funny
and
to
you were
watch.
doing a penalty shootout in Brockwell Park.
Yeah.
He was just so relaxed.
So relaxed. Absolute nerves of steel. But I did see a thing like people were saying, if that was Sergio Ramos, would he have tried it with him? Because Sergio Ramos obviously wouldn't have taken it in the way that Alba did. I think Alba was so taken aback by the whole thing.
Ramos would have
Obviously,
broken Chiellini's nose again.
Yeah, like he would have just the stern look would have just been mad. I guess let's take a look at Italy this tournament in general though, because they have been incredibly impressive. I think their 12 goals is the most they've scored in any major tournament. Like no Italian team has scored as many as they have, and obviously they were really scoring for fun in the group stages. But I guess what they've scored at least two. Well, they scored 2 and 2 in the last 16 and the quarterfinals. And yeah, a number of players have really come to the fore in this tournament. Chiesa was kind of proving himself he'd already proved himself as a talismanic figure at Fiorentina, hadn't he? But then last season was really taking up the mantle in big games for Juve, scoring big goals. And it's just been the same for Italy. Like this looks like a guy who's going to be, scoring massive goals for them for years to come. And it's great to see. Like his technique in the final third is just superb, isn't it? And kind of being able to kind of like take those kind of half chances, which not a number of players wouldn't be able to do. To kind of take the game by the scruff of the neck, and we'll take that chance, especially against Spain in what was kind of quite a incredibly aggressive and fast paced first half in front of that Wembley crowd. Was massive. So he's going to be a huge danger, I think, for England. I think the two wingers in particular are a kind of threat that England probably haven't faced so far at this tournament. Because Insigne and Chiesa are in excellent form, aren't they? But I think where it's going to be, really tough in particular, I think, is that midfield battle. Because we spoke about Verratti last week, didn't we? What a player he's been and what a tournament he's having, and I think that's the kind of midfield that I don't think England have quite come up against yet. Obviously, Denmark were quite tough, especially in that first half. I thought Højbjerg and Delaney caused Rice and Phillips some problems, but I think Verratti's going to be. I think Verratti's going to be a real tough nut to crack. Especially if he kind of gets rolling and Italy can get some good passing patterns going. I don't know what you guys make of it. Where do you think like Italy's main threat to England is going to be? Because obviously Spinazzola's out, so that's obviously horrible injury and wish him the best with his recovery. But it is good news for England that they're not going to be facing a left back of that calibre. Like I think Emerson's fine, but wasn't. You could tell he was a real step down in that game against Spain. Where do you think like Italy are going to be most dangerous?
I think they're probably the first side that we faced bar Germany, but Germany weren't in a great moment. They've got really good depth in forward areas. Like I think if Domenico Berardi comes off the bench, like he looked really handy when he came off the bench as well. They can obviously bring Locatelli on in midfield. Like you really noticed last night when Damsgaard and Dolberg went off. Denmark really didn't offer that much after about 75 minutes, and in extra time they looked incredibly tired, which is partly down to scheduling. Like it is unfair. I think it's unfair that England have played 6 of their 7 games at home, whereas Denmark had to go play in Azerbaijan in 35 degree heat and play extra time against the Czech Republic. Did they play extra time? I'm maybe getting confused there. Yeah, they did. So they played 120 minutes, like after travelling all that distance. Whereas England, this tournament has been made for England to get to the final. But that's not England's fault. In the same way that it's not England's fault that VAR didn't overturn that penalty last night.
Here we go.
Which is what I keep on arguing with on people on Twitter. They're like, but you guys cheated and VAR was wrong. We didn't ask for VAR to get it wrong. Was it a very soft penalty? Yes. Was there a bit of contact? Yes. Was it a dive? It's probably on the edge of a dive. I think it's pretty soft.
It probably was.
It probably was. I mean, if it had been done against England, I would have been very angry. Yeah. But, everyone's being like, oh, Football Daily, you're not calling it out for what it is. Like, most of us are
Who cares? Like, also just who cares, man?
Yeah, and also, most of us can't emphasise enough, the English footballing culture is generally about getting quite drunk to watch the game. And, like, who wants to go on there and argue about contact in boxes when you're, like, 10 pints down and England have a penalty? We probably haven't been completely fair on that instant, but let's move on. I mean, Henry, what did you make of England's performance last night? Because I actually thought Denmark were probably the best side we faced and definitely posed us quite a few problems. But then England created far more chances that we've seen in any game, probably except for Ukraine.
No, absolutely. I think it's important to remember the only goal that England have conceded is a direct free kick in this competition. And I think Pickford maybe could have saved that. I think
Pickford started it at the tube station in terms of his starting position.
Pickford had a really interesting game, didn't he? I mean, I've been singing his praises throughout this whole tournament. He just showed a bit of naivety and some nerves yesterday. Kept sort of giving the ball away. A lot of apologising, bit of bad distribution. Anyway, so I'm hoping that was just a minor blip. Just the occasion caught up with him because new Wembley has never been bouncing like this ever. I mean, it's so exciting to see it, like all the songs, etc. I mean, the thing that gives me a bit of confidence about this game, Ciro Immobile, he's not playing great at the moment, is he, in terms of getting through and creating chances, but Kyle Walker's just been immense. His ability to sort of drop back in and save the day in those situations, and his speed is just such an asset there. And actually, I think the goals for Italy will come from their wide players, Insigne and Chiesa. I think if we can just almost try and focus their attentions down the middle, I think that's where we'll sort of eat them up there. Because I mean, I feel like Maguire's been immense since he's come in. John Stones has been so solid the entire tournament. So defensively, that's why I'm quite looking forward to see the match up there, to understand how Italy are going to try and break down this England side. But like you said, we just need to make sure that Verratti doesn't get in the groove and almost try and boss in the way that Busquets and Pedri did. Pedri, by the way, one of the best tournaments ever from an 18-year-old. I think it's just unbelievable. But yeah, England, it was nervy. I can't tell if it was a good game because I was invested in it. I feel like if I wasn't English or Danish, was it a good game? That's what I'm trying to figure out in my head a little bit. I mean, in my head I was like, this is amazing. But I mean, it wasn't anything really on the Italy-Spain game. But I just think Raheem Sterling's in such a good moment. Harry Kane's in the goals. I think Italy are going to be as scared facing us as we may be playing them. It's the meeting of the two best teams in this tournament, and that's so exciting to see that happen. It's going to be at Wembley. I don't think Italy are going to be that bothered. They've played their last two games at Wembley. We saw Del Piero online saying they're probably going to relish the challenge of being up against the home nation in their own backyard. They'll be looking to cause us problems there. But yeah, I think England just need to stick to their guns, stick to their attacking mentality, and just believe that we're better than this side. I don't want to see Southgate sort of change too much to sort of match up against the Italians. I think Rice and Phillips and potentially Mount in the midfield will have enough to cause problems, sort of at least take on that Italian midfield there. But yeah, I think that we've got the tools and the players in the right form right now to cause as many problems to Italy as they can to us. So I'm very excited for this. I can't even express how excited I am for this game.
Mount's defensive output in the last two games against Ukraine and Denmark has been absolutely awesome. The amount of times he's got back into our box almost and put in crucial challenges, nicked the ball away. I think, in an attacking sense, it probably hasn't been Mason Mount's best tournament. Maybe it's not been his role, really, but I think he's really stepped up in a defensive sense. But in terms of the omens, well, they're not looking too good for England, if we're totally honest. They've only won one of their last 8 meetings with Italy, and that was in 2012 when Phil Jagielka was playing, I believe. Drawing 3 and losing 4. We've only won 4 of our last 19 meetings against them. So we are up against it. To say the least. I mean, McCubs, I haven't asked your thoughts on England. Yeah. Firstly, what are you doing formation and team-wise? And secondly, what is your score prediction, general thoughts about the game?
I think you have to stick with the 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, whatever it is. I think Southgate stuck to his guns against Denmark in that sense. After seeing how how matching up Germany worked, it would have been very tempting to do the same against Denmark, but stuck to his guns. I think there was a lot of talk before the game about the importance of Mount actually in terms of being able to have that extra man in midfield to counteract Denmark, and like you were saying, Dougie, he played a really important role, especially defensively, and it worked. Obviously, we then moved back into a back three after going 2-1 up in extra time, taking off Grealish for God, I can't remember who came on now. Trippier, yeah, of course, and Trippier was excellent, wasn't he? Kind of keeping the ball in those last kind of 10 minutes. But no, I think you have to go with that 4-2-3-1/4-3-3 formation. I don't think. Do you name an unchanged side? Potentially, the right wing slot is the only real one that's kind of changing at this point, isn't it?
Saka was good though.
Saka was excellent. I think the thing is with Saka, it was like it got to that point around 50-60 minutes where I was kind of like, he's kind of he's waning a little bit. Similar to the Germany game, and then he came off, but actually he stayed on for a decent amount longer and grew into the game again. I think came off actually when he was having some of his best luck in the whole game, which is a bit of a shame, but ended up working out. But yeah, so I kind of back whoever starts there, but yeah, I mean, I thought in particular, I mean, I know we've been singing his praises all tournament, but Raheem Sterling, like the fitness on the guy, like in extra time, to be able to run the length of the pitch in extra time, having worked so hard all tournament and having done that all tournament, I think that was one of the games of his life. And we have seen him put in some serious performances for Man City over the last few years, but genuinely that was one of the games of his life. I think the same goes for Kyle Walker. I've almost never seen him shield a back line as well as that, especially in the first half when the back line was a little bit all over the place. Let's face it. I was getting pretty worried by our defence, and of course Pickford, as you were saying, Henry, in that first half. So yeah, I forgot what you were going to say, Dukes. Oh, score prediction.
Prediction, the big one.
I think a great thing as well to have seen is that the fact that we were able to react from going a goal down, and I think that puts a lot of people's minds at ease going into this game, because I think even if Denmark hadn't scored in that semi-final, I think everyone's backing Italy to score in this game, aren't they? And I am too. I think it's going to be 2-1 again. I'm going to back the boys. Italy are going to be incredibly tough, but you've got to back the boys. It's going to be 2-1. A nail-biter of a game. Yeah, 2-1, maybe after extra time, who knows?
Okay, Henry, what are you thinking, man?
Oh God, I don't want to do it. By the way, I'd like to see Sancho start and maybe have Saka as a bit more of an impact sub. That's my only change. I think we need big player moment. Yeah, I think it's gonna be slightly cagey. I'm gonna go 1-0 to England for this one. Obviously have to back the boys. So yeah, 1-0 for England. Just quickly, also I was just gonna throw in. I also think that Argentina are going to beat Brazil in the Copa America final.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to say a penalty shootout win for Argentina in the Copa America final. I'm just throwing that in there quickly as well.
Okay. I'm going to emphasise again, I think England go into this game actually as fairly large underdogs. But I think our counter, if you saw the chances that Spain created against Italy, sometimes on the break as well. I think England will create plenty of chances. So, Italy will have majority ball, but I think we'll have plenty of moments. And we've been reasonably decisive in those moments. There was a couple, Schmeichel made a couple of phenomenal saves, particularly that one from Maguire was insane. And our set piece delivery is getting so much better as well. I actually think it's gonna go to penalties.
Oh no! Don't do it, dude.
I know. After a 1-1 draw, I think it's gonna be 1-1, and then I think it's gonna go to penalties. And from there, I simply have no idea.
Oh my
but
God.
I don't know about you guys. I will be absolutely, heartbroken, I'm sure, in the moment if we lose to Italy. But there is something in me that is just so delighted to have got to this stage, and I almost just think it is a bit of a free hit. I think Italy have been the best team in this competition by quite some distance. And England are underdogs. And if we win, it will be the best day that I probably have ever had, and any of you guys have ever had as a football fan. But I just don't think it's going to be the end of the world if we lose. Do you get me? I mean, Henry, are you on the same wavelength there?
No, I know what you mean. The fact that we've gone through the entire process, that was, we've seen the maximum amount of games you possibly can. I think, I was in Moscow when I watched England beat Colombia on penalties. That was I didn't think that moment could be topped as a spectator, but I completely agree with you. If we can do it here, this is just going to be. It will be amazing. But I'm just so delighted to see everyone enjoying themselves, having a good time, just getting behind the boys. Like people that don't normally like football, getting sucked up into it. It's great, and I just it's almost like the perfect thing with everything that's happened to like kickstart this summer. To have this kind of unifying process is I've loved every moment of it, and I completely agree with you. It is a kind of a free hit. Italy are a great side, but let's just got to believe that one more game that they can get over the line.
Absolutely. Free hit. It's going to be a special night. But guys, to wrap up, we have a special offer for you as well from our friends at Manscaped. You can get 20% off and free shipping with the code EuroFootballDaily at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Please use the code EuroFootballDaily. The products are genuinely amazing. We wouldn't promote something that we didn't believe in. Go and get your Manscaped products. Go and freshen yourself up down below, ready for Sunday night. I certainly will. And it's going to be the greatest night in English football history, potentially. So let's have it.
We had a pretty good one, Dougie, in 1966.
Yeah, but who really remembers that now? Yeah, come on. Right, that is the end of the show, guys. Let us know who you think has lost the transfer window. Let us know who is going to win between England and Italy. Get your score predictions. Get your goal scorers. Let us know if we're wrong. Let us know if we're right. You know, get the comments firing. Like this video as well. Get this up to 12,000 likes. Why not?
12,000.
12,000 is quite ambitious. Okay. I think we tend to hit about 2,000. But come on, it's the Euros, baby.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Right, McCubs, what is your final message to England fans? What should they go and watch now? What should they go enjoy?
Well, yeah, England fans and non-England fans. I think everyone can be very positive about the job that Gareth Southgate's done with this side, and yeah, like I think the emotional impact of it all has really got to me this tournament. And this week I wrote a script on Gareth Southgate and how he kind of fixed England, fixed the culture of the team. Other factors, obviously the great players he's got, and just how he's built that kind of team spirit. How he's kind of reinvigorated the nation's support of the team, and also how just the kind of feeling around the side in general, and what a great leader he's been. I wrote a script on that. That's coming out on Saturday. James is editing that as we speak. So yeah, if you want to kind of get fired up for the final on Sunday, and just kind of just like a bit of a deep dive on just how good a job he's done. That will be coming out on Saturday. So check that out.
Nice. Anything from you, Ori?
Yeah, well, there was a really good reaction to the 10 release clauses that are too good to be true. We put out some real niche players there. I think I even got in Arthur Cabral of FC Basel, and everyone seems to be really enjoying that. So, McCubs and I have written an XI of free agents who are currently out there at the moment. So if you want to see a video with the likes of Paulo Gazzaniga, Nabil Bentaleb and Robin Quaison, then that's the video for you. Some big names.
It's a bit hit and miss. I can't lie. When we were looking through it yesterday, it was like, some of these players are hard. I don't know who I'd want to sign these players necessarily, but some of the good. Quaison, I think, was a great pickup.
Andre Ayew back on Euro Football Daily. That's what you want to see.
That's what you want to see.
Love it. It truly is special times that we're living through. Guys, thank you very much for watching Continental Club. Please stay safe on Sunday as well. I nearly saw someone hit by a bus yesterday. So get drunk if you're in England, responsibly. Don't get hit by buses, please. Everyone stay safe. Have a great weekend, guys. Enjoy the final, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.
Come on!